I'm here with Michael Sollinger of LaserAnimation Sollinger, and it's 40 years anniversary this year. Now, Michael, thanks for being here with me. I mean, 40 years, that's quite a long time. How did that all start? I mean, 40 years back, I wasn't even born at that time. Oh, I was born, but very, very young. How did that even start?
This was a coincidence. At that time, I was at the university working for my PhD, and then I got in contact with a technician from a Swiss company, ACR, and at the same time, I got in contact with an artist. His name was Paul Earls, and he was in the university, technical university, for it was a citywide exhibition, Metropolis or something like this, and Paul Earls came from MIT. MIT is a partner university to the Technical University, and he was in the Center of Advanced Visual Studies, who was originally founded and then led by famous Otto Piene.
Ah, okay.
And so he was in the laser group, because the university that has something to do with laser, so we put him in the laser group.
Okay.
Where he was like a little bit. Yes, so this was not what he was.
Okay, but laser was really young at those days. I mean, 1960 development, 1960
yes,
was
but
quite young.
Laser, this is a funny thing, that lasers was already from the very first beginning, it was already used in entertainment.
Ah, okay,
Very soon.
Okay.
And already at that time, there were famous companies like Laser Media, and there was the computer, the Laser Media computer, and there was a computer, I forgot the name, which was done by Steve Heminover. No, sorry. So this was already well in place. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw some laser shows at that time, but I found it boring. Yeah.
Okay.
So this was not. I did not come to this because I thought laser is yeah. I worked with lasers. I like to play with lasers.
Okay.
But for me it was, and like the artistic thing at that time, even. You know, there was these things by Laser Media with the comic style, and so I thought, yeah, it's okay, but it's not. It does not really hit me. Yeah. And so I got in contact with this technician, which was Henrik Turzer.
Yeah.
And he asked me I asked him, what are you doing there? And he said, yeah, we have this work with an argon laser, and we have an optical bench, and we have some lizard shoes. And I asked him, do you have a computer with going? No, do you know anything about?
Okay.
Yeah, I have there's in the university, there's a guy and he has a computer. It's based on an Apple II, and it has some electronics in a cigar box, and so. Yeah, maybe we can make a connection.
Okay.
Which obviously did not happen, because what Paul did was nice for his artwork.
Yeah.
But it would not work in a discotheque.
Okay.
So in disco we need fast movements and all this. At least at that time, what I thought would be necessary.
Yeah. Okay.
So because of this, and I thought, maybe I can do something like this. So I did not work with small computers. So it was at that time I worked with mainframes and with so-called mini computers.
Okay.
But then I thought, and I got like the schematics what Paul did because in the university they should rebuild his system, and they did not succeed with this.
Okay.
But I had an idea at least and thought, okay, no, now this won't work, so I have to do it different.
Okay.
And then so this was in 84, and in the Christmas holidays, I made the schematics, how I want to do things together, and with a friend in the university who had a bit more knowledge of Apple II, and so we built the 2 cards, which I still have. So one was, I did it with like, he did it with wire wrap, and I did it with like soldering nicely and so on.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I had to start to program. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this was in BASIC first, but of course BASIC was not good enough. So I had to go learn assembler and.
Oh, that's very basic then. It's more basic than basic.
No, it was even. I had even to go below this because I haven't had the money to buy an assembler.
Ah, okay.
An assembler at that time was a couple of thousand German marks. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
So I haven't had the money. So I started to do really machine code.
Okay, that's very low end, yeah.
Yeah, and so I did the machine code, and in the Apple there was a disassembler, so I could disassemble it and print it out.
Okay,
yeah?
okay.
And see what mistakes I made and so. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting.
So this
so it started with control actually. It didn't start with an
control.
actual laser. It started with controlling it because you found that there is a necessity to have a good controller that is more versatile.
I was asked for, and because the machines from the United States, they were incredibly expensive.
Okay, I see.
And also the laser media unit, it was not possible to program it. You needed a special license, even more expensive, and you had to then you had to program it. Then you had to write it into EPROMs, and then you could use the EPROMs in the machine. So it was not really, and so I started this, and in May '85, we had the first trade show in Rimini, and where I showed it.
The famous Rimini show.
Famous Rimini show, where I had this computer just with a dancing woman. I had friends working in the comic industry, and so she made a drawing and I digitized, and so we had and this was and at the same time at ACR, another guy, he did also a computer, but based on a I think a Sharp or whatsoever mini console, which had no floppy disk, and you had to do it with a tape and these things. So this wasn't really, and mine was way more possible to expand it. And
I see.
So this was the beginning, and then in autumn, I thought I was pretty much ready with my prototype, and went to Switzerland. They had their base in Zurich, and went there and demonstrated, and they said, yeah, nice, yeah, we can do it. And so my plan was like to give it to them and get licenses and so on. But what they came up with this was not really. I knew how much I worked on this, and this were like peanuts, and they came up with numbers. How many units they are going to sell per year? And I did not believe.
I see.
And then there was a famous sentence from the CEO there. He said, "Okay, if you want to earn more, then you have to take the risk of entrepreneurship."
Okay.
So I slept one night, I went there next day,
okay,
and said, yeah, I do it. and then
Okay.
we made a contract, a handcuff contract, and there was a lot of nonsense in it, but especially the handcuffs. I cannot do it with this, blah blah blah, and so yeah.
Yeah.
And then I already got like the first order for 10 computers to manufacture, and should be ready like about 1 month later.
Oh, that's short term.
And I had to like start with. I had only the prototype. I already had a proper layout for printed circuits.
Yeah.
So I started to get this. Then I had to get to buy the computers, the clones, of course.
Yeah.
And the parts. And then I had to get the allowance to export. At that time, we needed a certain paper for this. And yeah, so it was a bit more than a month. I know it was early December that I delivered my units. Yeah.
That's crazy because it requires quite some invest actually to get that started. I mean, 10 units just from a prototype. I mean, you said money was short in those days.
Yeah.
That's quite an endeavor, and it's quite interesting that you're here and that we're here 40 years later, and it's still going stronger than ever actually.
Yes.
And seeing that LaserAnimation Sollinger took like the prime spot in the industry for the top end quality products. This is quite interesting to see, like coming from that like basic development of a controller and then ending up in that high end, top end league. That's very interesting.
I must say this was possible at that time, and during these times it would not be possible now.
Sure.
Completely not.
No, I totally agree. I mean, it was like the first companies actually starting in that show industry, and then you of course have to also kind of discover these new features like different controls, new controls, and
I always detected some niche where I thought I can do things better, and this was so. The controller was the first thing, and then I thought, okay, the scanner drivers, because they were at that time they were bulky like these cards, so and they were they were not. Yeah, they did overshots and all these things. So I worked on this, and again at this time also Henrik helped me with this, because I was said, no, this is not good, and he said, oh, it's already good, but you need maybe here and this, and helped me with some electronic part, and then it took off, and it was much smaller, and it had no overshots anymore, and all these things,
That's very interesting, because so it's basically away from the controls over electronics, seeing all the different things that are not correct, and then basically starting to develop, improving, and making things like the little bits, like the last 2% for quality to actually get those.
Yeah, or for example, at that time we used fiber optics.
Yeah, together with gas lasers. We must
because
add, sure.
With the gas lasers, we had fiber optics, but I used fiber optics. I bought fiber optics from other companies, and it was a hell to adjust them. And you could easily burn the fiber, and it was. And so I thought, no, it must be. We can do it different. It's not this and this, but if we do like this and this, it can become much easier. So it became a huge success with the fibers we used, and especially the optics for this.
Okay. So from controls to electronics to optics, so we got lots of improvements throughout the whole projectors, throughout the whole technology, and then obviously there was the step from the gas lasers to more solid state type.
Yes.
I think you started with Genlas stuff first.
Exactly.
That for the solid state side.
Yes, and I only started with this because Genlas was the only company which came out with an OEM product. So because the others like Coherent and Spectra also, they always had full systems, like their head with their driver, controller, all these things, which was always bulky. And I saw this, and when I first approached Jenlas, they were, and then it took, so it took a while until to get their confidence. And then I started, before I also did not do drivers for lasers, and I had no idea, so I started this and this and this and put things together. I had internal fights in my company because the others were saying, hey, what are you doing and so on, but I wanted to do it. And then first I thought it's necessary to have acoust-optical modulator, because I thought that these lasers, like the lasers before, like the green lasers, the high-power green lasers, they were not modulable. Because they have a thermal lens, and the thermal lens stabilize it, and you cannot do it with a current. So I thought I need to do it with an AOM. So I developed a one-channel AOM little thing with integrated circuit board. So it's just one thing, But then I found out that it's not necessary, and you can really, because of the it's a disc laser. So the disc laser has no thermal lens, so you can actually modulate it
the source,
by the current.
Okay.
So I had
very interesting. That is quite interesting, because that disc laser type was basically a bridge between that gas laser world and then moving on to that OPSL technology.
Exactly.
And nowadays we have that diode things that are so accurate. So what we see from laser animation is so super thin, so accurate, combined laser sources. So there was a huge way from like these gas laser basic thing with the AOM, and then coming to those super high precision diodes with that very good modulation. So I really see that this is a huge way. I mean, 40 years seem to be a lot, but thinking about what all happened, this is not just short.
This was the RGB lasers. It was, at that time, I started with a green laser, the Blitz. This was called the Blitz projector, and was super successful at that time. And others already did RGB, but I did not want to copy these things. So I had thought, no, I don't want. I made some tests like this and this, but I did not want it like this. And then came 2008, the financial crisis. We had short-term work here. The laser sales dropped from about 150 Blitz units per year down to 0. And I had to come up with something. So I had the idea to do it with the RGB, the modules, to do the modules different than anybody else did. And also had already then in mind to a different way to produce it. Not with adjusters, but factory aligned and sealed and finished. This was during this crisis. So
this is interesting, because this is the type of technology that you still see, like the basics you still see nowadays in the projectors, but obviously in a much higher development state, because what happened in the past, let's say 5-6 years, was incredible. What we see in terms of accuracy, in terms of performance. I mean, we now have these super strong laser systems with that super high accuracy. That's quite interesting to see, like the whole way of 40 years with all that incredible development. I mean, I think this is unique in the industry, right? There's nobody else who did that.
During this time, at some points, I always felt like this. I tried to build a wall, but as soon as I put some bricks onto each other, the wall is destroyed, because there were some changes from outside. And so, but actually now, after 40 years, I can see that there is a solid wall, and even the bricks they have been kicked. They all like
Yeah.
added to this foundation.
Yeah, very good, very good. I mean, this is great. I mean, 40 years is something that we definitely have to celebrate. I mean, this development, and I also want to have everybody see a bit more about what the development is about, probably get a bit more insight to the story. I mean, I have explained a lot what's going on, but there was even more as far as I know. There's so many things that happened. So what I'd like to do is get everybody to know what's happened in that great company and that development. So what we did, we arranged for a big party, and that big party is going to take place here in Berlin in the Monopol building. That's an event area, and it will happen on the weekend of the 9th, 10th, 11th of October, culminating in the big party, big celebration of 40 years of LaserAnimation Sollinger on the 11th, Saturday the 11th of October 2025. And we kindly invite everybody who's interested in learning more about laser animation's history, in wanting to party with us, celebrating your history, the company history, and find
also
more.
having some art installations.
That's for sure, because art was a really big part of your history.
Yes,
art
definitely.
Always basically was one of the main things that drove your innovation, because you always got new ideas when you saw stuff. And this is what we're gonna see in October. We see some really nice art installation of some really big light artists as well, well-known light artists, and we invite you to join us. You will find more information and the option to register for the event on the LaserAnimation website, laseranimation.com. So feel free to register there, and we're looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you, Michael, for being with us and sharing the history. Thank you very much. And yeah,
see you in October.
See you in October. Thank you.
Thanks.